Welcome to the NLP View with your host, Donna Blinston. Each week, Donna will explore how the techniques of NLP can help improve your personal and professional life. And now, here's your host, Donna Blinston.
Hello and welcome to the NLP View. My name is Donna Blinston. Today's guest is Kevin Laye, author of Positive Shrinking, a story that will change your relationship with food forever. Neuro-Linguistic Programming, NLP, looks at the stated connection between our brain, neuro, the language we use and pay attention to, linguistics, and the patterns of our behaviour that we have developed from our experiences, programming. NLP provides a series of tools and techniques that can help you to truly control your eating habits, to understand why you make the choices you do when it comes down to food, and to address any fears or phobias that you might have towards food, towards weight loss, addiction, and basically self-image. In Kevin Laye's book, Positive Shrinking, he elegantly tells the story of two friends who meet every year. Every year they discuss the same diet problems and plan next year's attack on their weight loss. This year it's different. One of the friends has lost the weight and gained a new focus, a new clarity, and a new sense of self. Through their meeting, the friend who has lost the weight explains the technique she used to lose her weight, which is a combination of NLP techniques, thought field therapy, TFT, and hypnosis. So I'd like to welcome to the show Kevin Laye. Hello, Kevin.
Hi there, good evening. How are you?
I'm fine, Kevin. How are you?
I'm very well. Actually, I've got a little bit of a cold coming, so if I do have to blow my nose halfway through this, or you hear me gulping a honey-based drink, then you'll know why.
No problem. I've got one myself as well, probably with the rest of our world. Firstly, Kevin, I would like to thank you for joining me today on the NLP View, and just to credit you and thank you for the work that you do and this book that you've written.
No, I appreciate that. It's not really work. The Chinese have got a marvelous saying that, you know, if you really love what you do, you never have to work again. And I think that's kind of true in my case. I enjoy what I do. I enjoy teaching. I enjoy training and coaching. I love seeing the clients that I see and getting really rapid results with them. It's a very, very sort of lovely thing to do and work with people this way.
I do agree. The book that you've written, it's full of hidden gems and words of wisdoms that, when collated, will not only produce the physical changes that people desire from a diet, but also the mentality to achieve what they want from life. And I think that's the beauty of your book and the beauty of the work that you do.
Yeah. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Sorry. I was going to say, before we go any further, could you tell our audience about yourself?
Oh, where to start? Really, really very, very background over time. Left home at 16, joined the military. I was at the time British and then European karate champion, full contact. And I got borrowed by the Special Forces, and they kept me for 5 years. At which point I left the military to pursue a martial arts career. I won the European Championship the second time in 1982, but also got a bad injury. I got a detached retina, and that stopped my fight career. It just couldn't happen anymore. I then went out to Hollywood, became a stuntman, as you would. Did that for a year. Came back from that and started designing gymnasiums. It was in the 80s when the craze was to have hotels had gymnasiums in them. So I worked with a company called Power Sport and Paul Jones, my friend there, who got me involved in that. And also worked at Royal Shakespeare Theatre for a while doing fight choreography. So I had a kind of varied career. I went to the Middle East then for a couple of years and again designed monstrous, huge $1.8 billion sports complexes. They were absolutely huge things. That was when $1.8 billion was quite a lot of money. And from there, I came back from that after a couple of years and then kind of got sensible and serious and got into corporate life, sales, marketing in general, and then ended up, after a few years, being a sales director of a multinational global brand, and ended up being acting sort of general manager / chief exec until 12 years ago, and I became quite unwell. Whether it was, and I suspect it might have been the stress of the work, because I was a pretty busy bunny. I got cancer 12 years ago.
Okay.
Quite bad. The prognosis wasn't particularly good. They gave me a 90% chance of not coming through the operation.
Wow.
I'm here. I'm not a go. So I did come through. I had an amazing surgeon.
Well done.
And had some good chemotherapy. But also, somebody at that time, because I was in a lot of pain, taught me self-hypnosis. And I found, even with my skepticism fully ingrained within me, it worked. So I thought, well, okay. I then read Frogs into Princes, the band Lagrinda, and tried the techniques, because I was in the hospital, nowhere to go. Thought, wow, well, these techniques work too. If I do this and do this, then I'm getting this result. And it was repeatable over and over again. And so I thought, okay, let's start to look into this. So as soon as I got out of hospital, I pretty much booked myself onto a hypnosis training course, not to become a therapist, just because I was curious and fascinated. Studied that, and then met McKenna. Paul and I became good friends, did an NLP course with Richard and Paul and Michael Breen at the time, and then decided that I just didn't want to do what I was doing work-wise anymore, so quit my job. As great a position as it was and as well paid as it just wasn't doing it for me anymore. I had all these new toys I wanted to go and play with. Yeah. So I set up a company called Camel Train, which still exists, which is a corporate coaching, corporate development company where I literally go into companies that are struggling a little bit and guide them in the right direction. And after a couple of years, McKenna and I did a workshop together where I think over a weekend we did about 150, 160 phobics. It was great fun. We never did it again because it's just hard work, but it was good.
I bet.
I just the therapy and pushed and cajoled and nagged me at doing therapy, and I opened a clinic up in Harley Street and been doing that ever since for the past nine years. I then started to study different modalities, EMDR, cognitive behavioral therapy, hypno-CBT, EFT, thought field therapies, which is what I tend to use now as my main modality, purely because it's quick and it works 99% of the time, very rapidly. It's very empowering for the client too. So yeah, it's a good way to work.
Wow. What a story. It's inspiring. So what brought you about writing this book then, Positive Shrinking? Where did was it a collection of all of your history? What got you to the weight loss side?
I think Paul and I were drunk one night. We had a bet who'd get the first book out. No, really, we did. Paul got, I Can Make You Thin Out Quicker Than Mine, though. I think it was 8 months before mine. But he had more time on his hands, I think. I don't know. We just kind of had this sort of, bet, okay, I'm going to write a book. And he said, well, so am I. What's yours going to be about? He said, well, weight loss. So I'll do one on weight loss too. Let's see who gets it out first. And he beat me because he had a far greater support network. But, Paul and I, we have ideas that run in tandem, in parallel with each other. We have slight variations and slight differences, but we both come from the same sort of school of thought that it's not what you eat, it's not what are you eating, it's more what's eating you. Yeah. And that's the thing you got to look at, because the majority of problems are down to emotional eating. And there's such a prevalence of food now out there that we're never more than a couple of 100 yards away from a food source. And I don't know, it just seems to be an acceptable form of self-medication. If you start drinking too much, people start frowning at you and looking at you, and it obviously has an effect on you, and that you can't drive or you can't do your work properly. If you take drugs, that can be really frowned upon, by your peers and your friends and family. If you eat, well, everybody eats.
Yeah.
So not such a stigma to it in the world. Oh well, he just enjoys his food, or she just enjoys a good meal, or whatever it is. Oh, it's my little bit at the end of the day where I feel good about myself, and that's the danger. We then start to take in more than we sort of expend energy wise, and it has to go somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Some people control it by wandering at the toilet and create a bulimic state and throw it all up again. Other people go into a form of complete flat denial. But the main thing is people feel a bit stressed, and they turn to the easiest thing that they've got to hand that is socially acceptable, and that's food.
I think that's quite a powerful message. I don't, certainly with the clients I work with, people don't realise just how big a part the food that they eat is playing, and how much they rely on it emotionally.
Yeah.
How many gaps it does fill. Even for the people who don't feel or aren't aware that they have got that kind of relationship with food.
That's right. Yeah.
Something that we rely on, essentially.
Well, like I say, we have to eat. But it's very easy. And God, I'm not being pious here. I do it, somebody puts a really nice meal in front of me. I get to a point where I know that I'm really full, but if I'm really enjoying it, I'm not going to stop.
No.
I'm not
I'm
perfect. I'm probably carrying, half a stone that I shouldn't be. All right, a stone. I shouldn't be. But it's got to come up, and I'm aware of it. I get to a point, I step on the scales, I go, that's not good. I see myself be slow, and right, let's just get something done. I've just worked out a running program now, up to a 5K. Thing that I can do before my knee kind of gives out. I had a pretty bad knee injury, and that's helping, and the other weight's dropping off. So I see the weight staying pretty stable, but I'm losing more inches than weight, which is another problem. We get so focused on weight rather than general health and fitness, and actually how our clothes feel and how we feel. Somebody can step on the scales and be like, a pound over what they were the week before, and it ruins the whole week. The whole life falls apart. Whereas if they start to analyse a few different things, like, well, actually, how do my clothes feel? How do I feel? And to just see it slightly differently, sort of change the view a little bit, then that works well too. There's an exercise in my book called Eating the Pie. The pie is PIE, positive imagery exercise, and it's a great way to just pull into yourself, make a great image of yourself in your hand, and then literally it's a bit like a parts integration, but just a bit quicker and easier. And then you sort of drop it into your chest, you get a real kinesthetic feel of it, and if you practice that over and over again, you just end up feeling good for no reason, rather than feeling bad for no reason.
Since reading your book, I think I've done that exercise maybe 10, 15 times.
Yeah, it's great.
It is. Brilliant exercise, and so empowering. At any point of the day.
Well, I get the train to and from sort of Stafford to London. It's an hour and 20 minutes, the journey each way. And I have a choice. I can either sit on the train and look at everybody else, working on the computers and doing whatever they do, or I can shut my eyes after I've done that exercise, and I can be in the Cayman Islands or Barbados or wherever I choose to be. I don't have to be on a train for an hour and 20 minutes. I can go wherever I want. And that's how empowering that exercise is. It's great, and you can create whatever future you want as a result of that. And once your brain starts to get into the habit of doing that, then I've actually got a friend, and what he does, if he's running down the street, at every lamppost, he kind of sees a screen of an image of exactly how, and he'll list for that, just like he's bursting through a paper screen, he literally just runs through them all. At the end of the street, he feels incredible. It's just anchor after anchor after anchor after anchor. At the end of it, it's like, wow. It's a really, really slick, nice way of chaining anchors or stacking anchors together. And it works really well. I've tried it myself a couple of times. It's kind of cool. It's pretty good.
It's one of my gifts I like to think of is that I leave my clients with. Those journeys back home, or walking into the office if they've got a particular job that they're not enjoying as much as they could do, until other things resolve. Their walk from the car park, for example, to their office door. I place those anchors so that by the time they've got to their office, they're ready to fight the world, if you will.
Yes, exactly.
And so upbeat and up-powered, and it's those little tricks of NLP.
Yeah, there is. My friend Robert Holden has got a very nice trick, and he says what he gets people to do, he gets them to give the world the measles, and what they have these little red dots, and they put them on like the bathroom mirror, they put them on the cupboard door, they put them on the fridge, they put them on the window of the car, they put them on their office door, they put them on the corner of the computer screen. Every time you look at a dot, you have to have a positive, really nice thought about yourself. And that's the anchor, this little red dot anchor. And it's a very simple way of just looking at it, going, yeah, I am pretty cool. And then just looking at your screen, just getting on with your work. And the more you do that, stacking them on top of each other and just building upon building upon building, it's a very, very powerful way of just getting this continuous positive reinforcement without going too over the top with it. And it makes it congruent and it makes it believable. And once you start to believe things about yourself, then that's not a bad thing.
I couldn't agree more. It's a brilliant thing, if anything.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I like with NLP, and as you've explained in your journey and where it's taken you, is the way you can apply NLP to anything and other techniques. And as you evolve and that curiosity to support your clients even more, you add on additional techniques for the ultimate way of getting the best for your client, which is where the TFT is coming with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Could you explain a bit more about the TFT for our audience?
I'll tell you what happened with the TFT. I remember getting a video of EFT sent through to me at my house. And I remember sitting there watching it. And at the end of watching this half an hour of these people tapping and I just burst out laughing. I was in absolute fits. And I just couldn't believe it. What a crock. What absolute nonsense. I've just spent years and years and years investing thousands of pounds in training in hypnosis, psychotherapy, psychology, CBT, EMDR, yada, all this stuff. And you tell them that just tapping a few acupuncture points on the body can get rid of things. Get out of it. I was really massively skeptical. I met Paul for breakfast one morning, and we were talking about it, and Paul had actually read Callahan's book and suggested that I read it too, which I did. And we were talking about different stuff, and we were outside having breakfast, and as that happened, they brought the jam pots out, and as they brought the jam pots out, along with the jam pots came the wasps, and I had a massive, and I mean a massive, phobia of wasps. It was huge. I'm ex-karate champion, ex-military, ex-SAS. Put a wasp in a room, and I fell apart. I fell into a nest when I was a little boy and got stung all over, which is how it happened. I had a traumatic incident. I got stung probably 80, 90, 100 times by a wasp, so not good.
No.
Anyway, I was sat there, not looking in a particularly sort of happy state, and Paul picked up and said, well, what's the matter? And I go, well, the wasps have come. He said, what, you still got it? I went, yeah. And even with all the training that I'd done, I've tried everything else. I've tried rewind techniques, NLP, I've tried hypnosis, CBT. Nothing had worked. Not even made it marginally better. I mean, absolutely nothing had worked. And Paul just said, well, why don't you try that tapping thing? That's supposed to work with phobias. And I was like, well, no, get out of it. And he went, no, go on. And cajoled me and pushed me into doing that. So, okay then. He went straight to showbiz mode. Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad is it? I thought it's about a 10 right now, and rising. Mm-hmm. And I tapped the basic sequence, just a very, very basic 3-point sequence. And it went from 10 to 4 instantly. And it was almost like somebody just pulled it out from under me.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a bit weird. I remember doing the 9 gamut, and I finished the whole thing. And literally, the phobia went within a minute. It was just gone. I can't explain how, why, whatever. It just went, and it's never come back to this day. So, being really curious, this whole wanting curiosity state that Richard Bandler talks about, I went and found Callahan's book in Waterstones on Oxford Street, got it off the shelf. There was another minor / major trauma thing that had bothered me some years before. And I found the trauma sequence, thought about the issue, tapped it, and then actually went and stood where this traumatic incident happened and felt nothing. Complete and total ambivalence. And I thought, 2 hits in one day. There's got to be something in this. So I went and booked on the first course that I could and got my basic certification, then went and trained directly with Roger in Rome and worked with him when he was in California. dealing with very, very difficult, very, very complex cases and complex clients. Roger then trained me and made me the first registered Callahan trainer globally, which is very nice of him. And
wow.
Roger liked the way that I did TFT trainings and supported me and gave me a very nice quote that I put on the website. And from there, I've kind of developed my own. I mean, I stick to Roger's scaffolding, if you like, or framework or basic architecture, but I've also added on my own little bits and pieces. I do the same with NLP. I mean, the basic structures of NLP are all well and good, they're great, but they're a bit like recipes, and if you follow the recipe, you get the outcome. I prefer to be more like a chef. Just give me a bunch of ingredients, let me play with it. Let's see what I can make. So I like to play a little bit more, and I've created things like remote tapping, which is where you actually don't even have to tap. You can just literally look at somebody halfway across the room and clear it without doing anything other than pure state-based energy work. It's fascinating to watch, and it's great to see. But I'll
have to look into that.
The whole energy medicine or the psychosensory side of things is really opening up, as opposed to the psychopharmacological and the sort of psychotherapeutic. The whole psychosensory arena is really opening up now.
Yeah, it is, and I think it needs to. I say it needs to loosely. It's one of the gifts of NLP. It is that wanton curiosity. It's finding the difference that makes a difference. All the famous quotes that apply to NLP, and I heard you when we were speaking to you previously how you say that you no longer do NLP. You've got to that point where you do it without thinking about it. And that is a beautiful place to be in, because when you're at that place, you're wanting to find the difference that makes a difference, which is where the other techniques will start to fit in, and that's how the field is advancing so much, and we're getting even better results for our clients. The word and the research that's being done now is phenomenal. Yeah. The changes that's happening, it's a wonderful place. It's a wonderful place to be. It's exciting, and certainly the more I never stopped wanting to look down different avenues and how else could you do it. And
this year, the 2012 thing, well, maybe it is the end of the world, but maybe it's the end of the old world way of thinking about things, and let's just start looking at them. See, there are too many people now. There's Michio Kaku, who does the physics of the impossible. There's Rupert Sheldrake, who's a professor of biology at Cambridge with morphic resonance and morphogenic field theory. There's Bruce Lipton, the PhD biologist. There's David Hamilton, the former sort of scientist. He used to put molecules together and made drugs, and he talks about the kindness codes and how we can sort of heal ourselves. There's Lynn McTaggart with the field and the intention. There are too many. Edgar Mitchell, the guy who heads the Institute of Noethics. There are too many smart people now saying we need to look at something else, because there's way more than the clockwork universe, and there's way more than this linear process-driven life that we've been living and sort of leading. And we have to look at medicine, we've got to look at healing, we have to look at so many things way, way differently, because we really don't have all the answers. We really don't.
We're not even close to scratching the surface, I think, sometimes.
No.
Especially with the show that I'm doing now, the people that I'm meeting and interviewing and hearing their stories and how they've used it, and on a personal level and professional level, and the results that they're getting, it's just, it empowers me beyond belief. Yeah. Just hearing the way it's been adapted.
It is. Well, the other thing I like about some of this work too, especially with sort of TFT, I will mention TFT, I think, because it is the one specific thing that I do like to use, in that you can be a massive, complete, and like I was, a massive, complete and total skeptic, and it still works independently, independent of any belief system. That's why I like it. I mean, if you actually go to my website and have a look, there's some DVDs on there of me working with different clients, so you kind of see how I use NLP anyway, but how I actually use precise codes to. There's one girl on there has a sugar craving, and if you actually look, I think the whole thing's about 7.5 minutes, but the actual treatment time, the actual specific treatment time is about 1 minute and 12 seconds, something like that, and we completely bust out a craving. And it's not a collapsing anchor, it's nothing like that. It's literally, it's recoding the way she thinks about. And anybody who's listening now who has, say, a chocolate or a pastry or any kind of craving, just do this. Imagine eating that thing right now and kind of get that yum, yum, yum. Mm-hmm. And now just tap on the side of your hand, on the karate chop point, the fleshy part on the side of your hand, and then just tap under the end of your collarbone, under your neck. There's like a lump on the end of each collarbone. Just tap under one of those, and then just tap underneath your eye, either left or right, and then tap back under your collarbone again, and then just stop. Now that takes seconds. Now just imagine trying to eat or drink that thing again and see what happens. I'll be fascinated to hear some of the results on this if you ever manage to get them. But a lot of people kind of report this kind of, well, there's like a block in my throat. I can't swallow it now.
There is. I don't want to eat it. I don't actually want to keep it next to my mouth anymore.
Yeah, it's bizarre. And that's so quick, and anybody can do that, you know. And that is massively empowering to be able to sort of look at a piece of chocolate and go, do I want it? Tap, tap, tap. Yeah, I do. I still want it. And then eat it. That's fine. I'm not saying it's bad. Or you can just do that and go, actually, no, I can live without it. I don't want it. Because that's emotional eating. What you're doing there is, you know, you wanted the chocolate to mask an anxiety that you have, or to self-medicate or anesthetize any sort of emotional distress or pain. Whereas if you just sort of tap it out of the way, and then if you don't want the chocolate, that's all well. But if you still want a piece of chocolate, then have it. But you probably find you won't eat as much. Or eat it too fast as people tend to do. You know, just sort of throw it down and go, well, you just eaten a full bar of chocolate. Have I really? Yeah, people eat so unconsciously, it's ridiculous. It's crazy.
It is. I find myself doing it, and I speak with clients and so many people that eat because they're meant to eat at a time during the day.
Yeah.
Rather than.
When you have the question, are you actually hungry? Well, no. But I'm supposed to have breakfast. Well, not if you're not hungry. Yeah.
It is. And you have lunch, and you have a big lunch. Oh, I do it as a nurse. I'll eat often too much on my lunch hour because I know that I'm not going to get another break because it's going to be busy. So I spend the rest of the day stodging round a bloated stomach that can't fully function the rest of my body because I'm so bloated and want to go to sleep. Well, the reality is that it's not needed.
The other dangerous thing that we tend to do then, we tend to eat things that are probably toxic for us, that are going to actually drain us of energy. They give us this quick rush, this massive serotonin boost, and we feel, and that drops off so rapidly, and we feel flat again. It's like, oh. And yet a lot of people sort of say, well, if I eat bread, I get all sort of bloaty and sort of stodgy. Well, the fluid that you're building up on is actually protecting you. It's suspending the toxin that's in whatever you've eaten from entering your system too quickly. It's actually slowing it down, just like diluting a cordial in a glass of water. You know, it's just making it more acceptable for the body to absorb, so you don't get such a massive hit from it as being a sort of a toxin, which is quite often what they are. And I don't mean a toxin as in it's poisonous. I mean it just drains your energy, which is why after lunch quite a lot of people feel very sort of flat and lethargic. Quite often they'll sleep after lunch or feel like going to sleep.
And that's one area that you talk about in your book, which is another gem for all of our listeners to read the book and find out all these tricks to taking control over your eating and control over your life.
Yeah.
So before we go, Kevin, I can't believe half an hour has just flown by.
I know, flown by.
Could you give our listeners your websites and how they can get in contact with you, your book and social media?
Website is Kevin Laye, KevinLaye.co.uk. If you sign up on that, and I don't bombard you with loads of sort of emails or anything, but I'm too lazy to send them out. You can get a free trance download on there, which is really nice to listen to. You can look at the DVDs. You can get links on there. Solar events for the people who run my trainings. That's solar-events.co.uk. So you can look on there. They run all my trainings for me. But there's some amazing stuff that we can do. Amazing stuff. And I hope to hear from people. Please email me and let me know your thoughts about this interview.
And thank you for all of our listeners for tuning in. If you'd like to learn more about NLP, please tune in each week and also visit my website, donnablinston.com, where you can pick up a copy of my book, Psychobabble, a straightforward, plain English guide to the benefits of NLP. Thanks for tuning in. See you next week.